Hello, and welcome to the series Conversations with. We are today speaking to Cherie Brandon, who is she works at the Blue Mountains Women's Health Resource Centre. It's a health and resource centre. That's right, isn't it?
Right. Yes.
And we're talking to her today about the Blue Fringe, which she will explain, and it's very exciting for me to talk about the Blue Fringe. I think it does fantastic things in the community. So hi Cherie, welcome.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me along.
No, it's a pleasure. So if you just want to give us a little bit of a background to begin with, like who you are, what you do at the Women's Health and Resource Centre, and also the Blue Fringe generally, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So as Chris said, my name's Cherie. I work at the Blue Mountains Women's Health and Resource Centre, and I work on a project which is a primary prevention of domestic violence project that we call EVI. I'm also involved in the Blue Fringe Arts and Literature Committee, and have been for a few years. Blue Fringe is a community-based arts and literature festival that aims to do a couple of really great things. It seeks, in the first instance, to celebrate the creativity of people with lived experience of mental illness. It hopes to encourage the use of creating art and literature as a way of staying mentally well. And importantly, it aims to destigmatize mental illness.
Okay. So it's a lot of big aims there.
Big aims.
Yeah. I do get. I'm a big reader, and I've always used reading, particularly around my own mental health. It's kind of, it kind of a comfort in dark times, and I've used it in that way previously in the past. Why do you think the Blue Fringe is so important? What do you think it does?
Yeah, look, it's kind of a unique festival. It's in its 28th year this year, which is a pretty stellar run for a community-based event that really doesn't have funding attached to it. This is kind of, being run by local organisations and local volunteers. So the fact it's been going for 28 years says a little bit about the energy that continues to be, put into the festival and that the festival creates. It's unique in these ways. Look, it's an arts and literature festival that is openly inclusive. So there is no judgment about what gets exhibited or what gets compiled into the literature book. Everything has its place in there. So I think that's a really important point for the first time artists or writers to know that their work is accepted. In my experience, the only reason something wouldn't be exhibited or published would be if it was offensive, and that's never happened. So I think there is something wonderful about this inclusion. So that's at the first point. But something that just has those aims, like I said at the beginning, and they are huge aims. But we talk about a thing in Blue Fringe that we kind of refer to as Blue Fringe magic. And these are these kind of set of conditions that are created by an event like Blue Fringe that helps it meet those kind of lofty aims. These are things where you come in and see an exhibition. Actually, I've got a piece. This piece that's behind me is a Blue Fringe piece.
Right.
We could do it too. Yeah, so you come in and see pieces, and there's varying levels of sophistication that artists or writers bring to this. But the magic that occurs when all of these things are displayed together is quite incredible. It's the most eclectic art exhibition you'll ever see because there's no theme. But it's all hung with the dignity and respect and a celebration that this is somebody's lived experience. So maybe I could give an example of this Blue Fringe magic or these social conditions. There was one year when there was a younger entrant who was very reluctant to put their work in. I think was persuaded to have it in, but did so only under the condition they could be anonymous and that they would be able to see the exhibition while no one else was around. So presumably not wanting to be kind of associated with this event that's about mental health or mental well-being. So that was very easy to orchestrate, and that was done. But the person came through with the catalogue and saw the exhibition. And by the end, so within about 40 minutes of being there, came and asked, could their work now be identified? They were very happy to have their name on it, and also came and was part of the award ceremony and was quite public about their work being in there. So I think it's a really hard thing when you use those big kind of ambitions like destigmatize or create social inclusion, and they're so kind of nebulous and wobbly to think do you ever achieve them. And there's like countless moments like that through Blue Fringe that are enabled by.
Yeah, and it's interesting. What strikes me is it's an opportunity for artists and writers and people that either aspire to be artists and writers or just want to get their experience across, to do that. And it's a point at which the people connect over the stories, I guess. And whether you're a participant or whether you're a viewer of one of the exhibitions or a reader of the stories, there's a point of connection about human experience, I think, which is involves both mental well-being and mental ill health at times. And yeah, I think stories have the power to do that. And I think owning your own story, which I think this is probably what one of the things that the Blue Fringe Festival does, is allows people, and that story that you gave is a fine example of someone that's stepping into their own story and owning it because because of what you said, the conditions are there for them to do that, and it builds the confidence for people to step into their own experience, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, that's so true. It is. It's the stories and the connection, and the kind of like shared kind of thing, because although mental health continues to be so stigmatized, it's 1 in 5 people. So if it's not you today, it could be you tomorrow. It's certainly someone you love. So there's no life really, I can't imagine, that has not been touched by this. So those stories and normalizing that experience is so powerful.
Yeah. And I can imagine, I mean, as someone who's quite introverted myself, and has been through the process of social anxiety and all of that seeing someone else's perspective is very empowering. Seeing someone else going through the same things you're going through, and also having done something creatively good, it's kind of it's quite inspiring. It can be. So usually the event has I guess it's an arts event, or an art, like a festival. So it has components where there's a gallery showing and other sorts of things that happen. Obviously, COVID has interrupted many of the things that all of us are trying to do at the moment. How will the event look this year?
Yes, so that's exactly right. Normally the event is a week-long exhibition, and with a literature reading and a great community awards day where people come. So this year the event will be virtual, so we'll have a virtual gallery. We're very excited about being able to do that. We think because there's so many things, I mean, with the uncertainty and the constraints that have been brought about at the moment, so many things aren't going ahead. We thought it was really important that Blue Fringe shows up like on the 28th year again, that it was important for that consistency. And we hear from artists all the time that the event is actually a real catalyst for them throughout the year to kind of work on stuff. So we felt it was really important. So the committee has purchased some virtual software. So we have an online gallery this year, which is pretty exciting. All work will be exhibited in this virtual gallery space, which will be like walking around inside a gallery. Some of the literature examples, some of the literature entries will also be displayed in that gallery as well, which is a beautiful way to have those two things combined. It's aimed to be as much as the kind of experience that you would have in the usual type of gallery style exhibition. It's aimed to bring that. So you'll still get the artist's story, be able to zoom in and zoom out, But we're pretty excited, and it's a massive learning curve for the committee to be operating kind of in a virtual way.
So I guess, I mean, this is one of the examples where I guess you can unleash a little bit of your creativity in a sense of how you structure the event as well. So it's a creative event, and you're running now creatively. And what strikes me is, in a few conversations that I've had with people that might not ordinarily have access to a gallery or be able to go to a gallery space, this now opens it up for people that perhaps spend a lot of time at home, or have a disability that perhaps prevents them from attending, that they can now access this event in the same way that everyone else is going to be accessing the event. And I think that's quite exciting, actually. That's a very exciting development. Yeah,
it is. It's really exciting, and a great thing to, you know, just have kind of in the suite of the way that Blue Fringe can have reach across the community, like for now and into the future. But it's kind of given another sort of skill set and resource into the kind of Blue Fringe family about what's possible.
And possibly more exposure for the artists who, you know, we're talking now about anyone in Australia potentially, or the world potentially being able to access the gallery and the things that are going on, rather than just people in the Blue Mountains. So yeah, I think it's a beacon. Then it becomes a beacon for what you're talking about, destigmatization. And so yeah, there's a lot of exciting possibilities about that. So to talk, like who is it that gets involved in Blue Fringe? Who can get involved, and how can they get involved?
Sure. So it's really easy to become involved in the Blue Fringe, and there's lots of different ways people participate. I guess at just being an entrant, if you want to exhibit some art, enter some art into, or literature into the festival, we have a wonderful new website, which is like bluefringe.org.au. So easy kind of to remember, where there's lots of details on there. You can enter via the website. So the entries are open. We have two categories of entrance. So we say general entry, and this is kind of the traditional piece of Blue Fringe, and that's always been described as for people with lived experience of mental illness. So we don't really prescribe or qualify what that means, and we don't kind of check in on, you know, how anybody's identifying. But we would say it includes things like you've had an experience yourself, or you've been you love someone and you've had that experience that way. So lived experience of mental illness for the general admission. But we also, over recent years, have introduced a youth category. So that's for people aged high school age. And we frame that more about, you know, put in a piece that's a celebration of resilience or well-being. So we don't necessarily associate any lived experience with the youth category, but just, you know, using art, using literature as a way to stay well. So it's open to anybody, really. People are also very welcome to get involved as volunteers. We have a lot of community volunteers who take part in the committee, and when we're exhibiting physically, play a really key role in setting up the exhibition and stuff. But we'll be looking for new people with new kind of technological skills going into the future. So we're open. If people want to be more deeply involved, they're very welcome to be.
Okay, and so it strikes me that it's its own little community as well of Blue Fringe participants, and there's a very welcoming, friendly feel to it. So does the website contain all the information that you've just described?
Yes, the website will have everything you need in terms of knowing, but also the Blue Fringe Festival has been held in the very wonderful hands of, you know, Belong Blue Mountains, Springwood Neighbourhood Centre, and other agencies around the mountains who have representatives on the committee. So you can also contact like Belong or Springwood Neighbourhood Centre as well.
Okay, fantastic. Or the Women's Health, the Blue Mountains Women's Health Centre?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Okay. And Blackheath Neighbourhood Centre.
Yep.
And Stride, which formerly known as Aftercare but a mental health service, are the other agencies that are involved.
Okay, fantastic. So that sounds like a very exciting development, and I'm very happy that you were able to talk to us today, Cherie. Thank you very much for that. Um, do you just want to say a little bit about the Women's Health Centre and what you do
Yeah.
there and what that's for as well?
Sure. So give a little brief about what happens at the Women's Health Centre. So it's a community managed holistic health service for women that has a full female staff. So we have a clinical team. So people can come along and see doctor, nurse, counsellors. All the staff are trauma informed. We also, in addition to having a clinical team, we have complementary health. So acupuncture and massage. In addition to that, we also have health promotion. So in non-COVID times, there's groups and other things going on. They're available at the moment, but they're online. And then there's the project I work on, which is primary prevention of domestic violence. And there's lots of little projects kind of going on within that, with the aim of kind of building a community that is free from violence, where people feel safe. And I'm super happy to be contacted at the Women's Health Centre if anyone would like any more information about that.
And how would they contact you?
They can call the Women's Health Centre on 4782 5133, or they can drop me an email at Cherie, Cherie, at bmwhrc.org.
Wonderful. Okay. All right. Is there any final messages you want to give to anyone that's interested in Blue Fringe?
I would just say, if you're thinking about it, please just do it. Entries close on the 5th of October, so there's still enough time to put something together. If you'd like to get something in, you can upload your entries, and you'll also see some drop-off points if you've got things there. But please do it. It's yeah.
And is there a theme for entries, or is it kind of free to people to imagine what they want?
Pretty free, yeah.
Okay.
So we don't have any. We reduce as much prescription and as possible. So no, we don't have a theme. And if you're not entering, check. Please check it out online. Art will be for sale. These are some beautiful, like, you get some great quality of art. And if artists are choosing to sell it, the full price goes directly to the artist. So there's no commission. So you're buying directly from the artist, and people have built art careers from this. So,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, and commissions are often sought from what's been exhibited as well. So.
Yeah, it's good. I think the theme thing is good because it means that if people have already created work that they would like to submit, it doesn't mean that they have to quickly create something before I mean, they can if they want to, but yeah, it's it's for people that have already created that can submit as well. So
yeah, absolutely. And the only criteria on that is it can't have been exhibited in Blue Fringe before. But
okay.
your work, yeah, so sometimes work has been exhibited in other places, but yeah, provided it's not been exhibited in Blue Fringe, very free to enter it.
Okay. Thank you once again for talking to us about this, and I'll be very excited to see the online gallery and all of the other things that are going on. So yeah, best of luck with it.
Thank you.
All right, take care, Cherie. Thank you.